Hi, I'm Paul. For this video, I'm going to talk about why enlightenment, or whatever that is, can't be found. You can't search for it. You can't make an action to find enlightenment, which enlightenment I refer to as just being peace or open space. Now, when I say open space, what I'm meaning here is we view the world without any judgment. You see, it doesn't come from a self-centered place where you have to put descriptions onto the world. You don't have to describe it about you or how it affects you or anything like that. So we're kind of suggesting that the world falls into you. Only when we have the closed space, which comes from a center, everything that comes in, let's say just everything that falls into you, let's say, gets ignored and gets covered over by a description. And this description comes from a center. So, like I said before, we view the world as a second-hand world. It's not the world as it is, but the description of the world. See, this is what cages us in. This is like the Plato's cave theory, with we only see the shadows in the cave. So from the self-centered or the enclosed space, we see the whole world as a description, which is like seeing the shadows secondhand. So why can we not find our way out of, or seek to find our way, or make an action to find our way out of this center? So let's say, in fact, actually no, how it seems to me from this center space, center closed space, compared to the open space, I'm going to describe it in a way as saying the two hemispheres again, which I've talked about before, although I'm not no brain scientist, so I don't know exactly, but it seems to be a good way of describing it. So the open space to me seems to be, let's say, entirely on one side, and the closed space seems to be entirely on the other side. Only the closed space seems to have a movement, let's say, a movement of up and down. The open space doesn't really seem to have a movement, it just stays still in peace. So, on the closed space, which we're referring to ego, I say that it has a movement of up and down. I also describe this closed space as being a pit of doom, a void. And it seems to me that a lot of actions that we make are to try to move upwards, let's say, move up the ladder from the bottom of the pit. See, the pit is the doom, but it's still only on one side, so it seems to be this game that we're playing. Try and move further up the ladder all the time, away from the bottom of the pit. So, let's say that I've got to know you over a certain period. Maybe we've been speaking for the last few months or something. And then I say, I know you. And I say, but my knowing of you is all the memories that I've made of you. which are my memories. I also created them. You may have behaved one way, and I described it in my memory as perhaps something different. So I have a whole bundle of memories of you. And I say, this is you. I know you. But the moment I try to describe you, I'm only describing the memories that I have of you, that I created. You see, this is how we create an image. I've created an image of you, and I work with that image of you. So if we say that this is the second-hand enclosed space, the self-centeredness, so the image of you comes from my center, and I want to find enlightenment. I want to find the truth. I want to find the real, true you. You see, it would seem that any action that I make, so I say, well, okay, I see the memories of you are incorrect, so let's make an action. Now I'll try to find new memories of you. I will try to correct the memories of you. I will slightly change the memories of you. I will change the image of you. But once again, this is only the image of you that I'm playing with, not you. So if I want to find the real you, I could only see that real you without making movement, without any memories, without any action, to just observe you, not to observe the images that I make of you. So this is just like saying, I stand still, I stand in peace, I just observe, and there you are. But any movement that I make in my mind from memories or trying to create new memories will never be you. You know, I've spoken before about this and nobody really seems to like this, but let's have a look at emotions. You see, we could probably suggest that maybe emotions, if I have an emotion for you, then perhaps this would come from the other space, the open space. But it doesn't. It comes from the closed space. So, if we look at emotions, is it possible to have an emotion without an image? So, I've known you and I have an image of you and I work with the image of you. My emotions come from the thoughts of that, come from the image that I've made of you. So, an emotion first starts with a thought, then creating an image, and then there's an emotion. So why is it that my emotions appear to have a sensation? You see, like I said, this ladder, which moves away from the pit, you can either go up or down. You see, if I have emotions like what I would suggest as being love, but even this love is based on an image. But if I have that emotion of something that say good about myself, to help make my image of myself look good, then this would be as if I'm moving up the ladder away from the pit. And then we could say that maybe if I have any negative emotions, then this would be moving me towards the pit. Now, I don't think this is actually quite right, because I think negative emotions still move you away from the pit because they still reflect on an image that you've created of you. Perhaps you might end up going further down the ladder towards the bottom of the pit. But I think this is only because the negative energy is just not as strong. It's not as efficient to move you up to the top of the ladder. But perhaps if you have had some unfortunate times lately, let's say, then trying to find the positive energy which will move you away seems to be a lot harder. So then we will just accept the negative energy because either one positive energy or negative energy is still going to keep me away from the pit. You see, all that I've been talking about at the moment is all reflecting on one side. It's not coming any closer to the open space. It's like I'm just playing a game in a closed space, playing a game with myself and my own images. So the action of trying to find enlightenment just isn't possible. So if I try to improve myself, make changes, they're all coming from this closed space. And perhaps maybe up the ladder or down the ladder. But they're all just feeding into the images. You know, one phrase which I keep on hearing is food for thought. It's supposed to be a good thing. If you really think about it, it's food for thought. And what is thought but images, self-centeredness about the self? We could play with thoughts and create images, some good or some bad, but it's still playing with one side. So to find the enlightenment, it takes no action. Perhaps I'm wrong there. It does take some action. But this action doesn't move slowly. It's not a progressive action where I say, yes, well, tomorrow, or maybe next year, or maybe I keep on moving until eventually I find it. It's not that action, because that action is a movement in time. And this movement in time is just trying to move up or down the ladder. It still doesn't bring you anywhere closer to enlightenment. So the action that I think that you need to take to try to get to this so-called enlightenment, peace, unconditional love is an action of doing, not thinking or pondering, but an action of seeing things for how they are. An action of seeing things how they are that are not perhaps good for me or causing a problem and putting an end to it. Sounds really easy, and I know it's not, it's very hard. But once it's seen, once it's really seen fully, the action's already made. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you very much for listening.